The Tennessee Titans coaching staff 100% tanked that game against the Los Angeles Chargers, and the front office is going to keep the tank going with some trades this week. That and more on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. On today's show, we are going to break down the Tennessee Titans coaching staff absolutely tanking their chances to win that game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Absolutely ridiculous coaching from Mike McCoy and specifically his offensive coaching staff. We'll talk about that, how Cam Ward's biggest issue going forward might just be his tiny hands, and the trade deadline's right around the corner. We got some crazy rumors throughout the weekend, including Vondre Sweat is currently on the trade block. We'll talk about why that might be the case. Before we get into all of it, do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. The Titans are likely to be very active at the trade deadline here over the next couple of days. They need a new head coach, half a season left, coming out of the bye. I'm going to keep you updated on everything here. Stay locked in with the Locked On Titans podcast. But with that being said, the Tennessee Titans lose 27-20 against the Los Angeles Chargers in a game that, quite frankly, the score looks closer than what the game actually would have been if the Titans didn't get lucky. And to me, you get the defensive touchdown, you get the special teams touchdown, but the ineptitude on offense, you can only get 6 points on offense, and the way that it happened was the most frustrating part. Again, I think that the Tennessee Titans coaching staff tanked this game. Mike McCoy purposefully made it so that the Titans would lose this game. I think he has got a directive from Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker that he needs to lose every game that he can possibly lose. That is the only explanation that I can come up with for the coaching that we saw on the offensive side of the ball. Whether it be every single time the Tennessee Titans made a good play on offense, every time they got a good first down, they got a chunk run, they got an X play in the passing game, every single time they would come back with one of their scheme plays. And what am I talking about with scheme plays? Look, normal plays are the Titans' normal handoffs, normal run plays, normal pass plays, drop back, throw the ball, play action, throw the ball, normal football plays. But every time the Titans coaching staff would run one of their schemed plays, where they bring somebody in motion in the backfield and then throw a little swing screen out to them, or they try to do play action fake here, fake reverse, dump it off on a tight end screen, or the Wildcats. 3 different times the Tennessee Titans called the Wildcat direct snap to a running back, and 3 different times it not only did not work, but it lost them yards. How can you continue to do this over and over and over again when you see that it's not working from the get-go and you continue to call it? The flea flicker right after the Titans break across midfield, it's like immediately after they go past midfield, immediately after they have a big explosive momentum-changing play, the Titans offensive coaching staff comes back with one of their plays instead of just running a normal football play. The Titans had 3rd and 1 at one point. They call one of these stupid Wildcat reverse plays. It gets a holding. Move you back. Then they get a false start penalty. Move you back. You go from 3rd and inches to 3rd and 16. Like that. Because you had to get cute even though you were running the football. Just run the football. And then the cherry on top. The cherry on top of all of it. The QB sneaks. You're at the goal line. It's 3rd and 1. Once again, what do you do at 3rd and 1? What do you do? Once again, you go to the Wildcat. Why? Why would you do that? And then it's 4th and inches, and you give it to Tony Pollard, who is a terrible short yardage and goal line back. He has never been good at that. That is not what he does. Why don't you just quarterback sneak it like everyone else? And then, again, it's the cherry on top, folks. This is the cherry on top of all of it. And then, Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers run 4 quarterback sneaks to success. 1 to get them for their last touchdown. And then 3 times on the final drive. Quarterback sneak, quarterback sneak. They're rubbing it in your nose, Mike McCoy. They're saying this is what smart teams do. Just for me, the Titans are not good. And we know that the roster isn't that good. But the roster didn't play that bad today. The special teams made big plays, and Chim DK is awesome, and we're going to talk about him in just a second. But the special teams unit made plays consistently throughout the game. Sly hit his kicks. Johnny Hekker sucked, though. I will tell you that. He was terrible in the punt game today. But the special teams did a job today. The defense, I know the defense gave up 27 points. I get that. But they got some red zone stops. Other than Justin Herbert, they really held the run. 20 carries for 74 yards. They really held down on the run. Now, Herbert with his scrambles, 57 yards, that makes it look bad because it's 131 yards, 4.4 a carry. That looks bad. But we cannot sit here and say that the Titans defense that got 6 sacks, had a pick 6 touchdown themselves, had quite a few stops, had some red zone stops. We cannot sit here and say that the defense didn't do all that they could. It's the Titans offense. And again, with the wildcat calls, with the screen calls after big plays, with the no QB sneak call on the goal line, how can you possibly look at all of these decisions that the Tennessee Titans coaching staff is making? How can you possibly look at the buttons that Mike McCoy is pressing and not at least wonder and not at least think, is this guy trying to lose? And it goes back last week to the 4th and 3 and the 4th down before that. They're past the 50-yard line. You're losing by double. What are you doing? And Mike McCoy just goes up at the press conference and says, yeah, I probably should have went for it. That's my bad. I'm sorry, but it does stand to reason. It does make you wonder, does Mike McCoy have a directive from his bosses that you need to lose? Any opportunity that you can to be conservative, take the ball out of Cam's hands, that's what you're going to do. Like there's no, at this point, I am searching for other possible explanations, and it's going to be hard to find one. But outside of that, outside of the coaches, we know that they're terrible. We know that the Titans need a new coaching staff. It's just insane how bad it is out there every single week. When you look at the players' performance, Chim DK, Cedric Gray, Dre'Mont Jones, Alec Iomanner, some decent performances out there, but Cam Ward, even in an okay performance, man, the small hands are really starting to concern me. And Vondre Sweat is on the trade block? Crazy.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Do want to let you guys know today's episode is also brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score some serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for their free program and use the promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about how coaching was the biggest problem for the Titans in that loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. They fall to 1-8 on the season heading into the bye week, and we all need the bye week. But right before the bye week is the trade deadline, and it sounds like Vondre Sweat is one of the quote-unquote biggest names on the trade block for the Titans. We'll talk about that to cap off today's show, but I want to keep diving into this loss for the Titans. And again, we saw some individual performances that need to be discussed, and we start with Cam Ward, because it wasn't a great game for Cam Ward. I don't think it was a terrible game for Cam Ward either. I would say it was just an okay game. 12 for 21, 145 yards, 4 sacks on the day. Did have, a couple of fumbles as well, where the ball popped up in the air, had the dropped interception as well from Denzel Perryman over the middle of the field. And, it was an okay game for Cam Ward. I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was good. Had a couple of drops in there from wide receivers. But here's the thing. One of the problems that Cam Ward had in this game, one of the issues that he did have, is something that is very concerning for me going forward, and it's the hand size, man. At some point, we have to talk about the issue here. He's got 9-inch hands. They're very small for NFL standards for quarterbacks. There are other quarterbacks out there that have small hands that do fine. Like Joe Burrow is a great example of a quarterback that has small hands. You know what I mean? So it's not like him having 9-inch hands is some egregious thing that's impossible to overcome or anything. But the problem with Cam Ward's small hands is it does show up within his game very often. Like, it wouldn't be a problem if it didn't show up as much, but it shows up every single week in problems. We saw it last week be an issue. We've seen it multiple times throughout the season be an issue, and it was an issue in this game. He just can't hold on to the football. And another example that has showed up a couple of times, that showed up again in this one, it's not just holding the ball in the backfield, not fumbling the ball. Again, right before halftime, he bobbles the ball up into the air. Luckily, J.C. Latham was able to corral it, but the ball slips out of his hands all the time. He has trouble handling the football, and I think that it manifests itself not just in the ball handling problems, but did you see that throw early in the game in the first half? He escapes out of the left side of the pocket, has terrible footwork as he looks like he's a shortstop trying to turn to the second baseman. Like, his feet are all wonky and crazy. His body is low and stuff. And he throws it side on, and the ball literally slips out of his hands, and it's not even close. Not even close to a wide open Van Jefferson. And I saw that last week on a play from Cam Ward where he rolled out, and I thought he had a chance to throw across his body to Tyler Lockett. And so this would have been a couple of weeks ago, and he threw it, but the ball came out squirrely and landed in front of Tyler Lockett. And I was like, oh, it must have got tipped. And that's how I felt on this pass. Like, the pass was so awful, and it came out so weird and so terrible that I'm like, okay, the ball had to be tipped, right? But the ball wasn't tipped. Cam's hand just can't hold the ball, and I think what happens is when right before he's going to throw it, the ball just shifts a little bit in his hands and he doesn't have a good grip and it just doesn't kind of come out right. But, everybody's instantly going to be talking about the fumbles and how he gets hit in the backfield and loses the ball a lot, or, the ball just literally falling out of his hands for no reason multiple times this year. But that hand size issue is manifesting itself when he's throwing the ball as well in certain cases where he's just wide open to throw the football and he just can't. You know what I mean? The ball just doesn't come out right. So, out of all of these things, I think Cam Ward is going to diagnose defenses better. I think Cam Ward is going to learn to get the ball out of his hands quicker and hit his check downs. And I think Cam Ward can make extraordinary throws. And we saw he can get out of the backfield and dump it off to Tony Pollard and has the spatial awareness. And I think Cam Ward is going to be a way better player 2 years from now than he's been this rookie season with this supporting cast. All of those caveats are being said here. All of that stuff is said here. But what I am worried about with Cam Ward is his small hands and how the ball handling issues turn into fumbles and how there are open throws that need to be made that sometimes don't get made because the ball just doesn't come out of his hand right. And again, it's not like there is no examples in the history of the NFL of a guy with small hands being a good quarterback. But the problem is the small hands are showing up too often as problems for Cam Ward. And that is something I don't know. It's not like his hands are going to get bigger. He's going to read defenses better. He's going to be more accurate. He's going to have a better offensive line. He's going to have better weapons. All of these things that we talk about do have the ability to improve over time. But I am worried out of everything. The one concern that I do have for sure is that the ball handling problems for Cam Ward may not be something to get fixed. Because it just physically can't, you know what I mean? It's something that he can't make his hands bigger. So that is the one thing that I am worried about, and we've seen it pop up enough throughout this season that you have to at some point in time acknowledge that it's a bit of a concern. But outside of Cam Ward, who again, I didn't think had a terrible game, but it's just the one issue I do have with Cam Ward so far this year that I am worried about continues to pop up, and that's concerning. But Chim DK is not concerning, my friends. Chim DK, absolutely ridiculous. And, of course, he has the return for 67 yards for a touchdown on the punt. Absolutely, that is the highlight. He absolutely deserved that, has had opportunities so far this year that have been ruined by his teammates. He needed that, but it was every return. I mean, he averaged 32 yards a punt return. He averaged 29 yards a kick return and had a 31-yarder there. 4 returns on the kickoffs for 117 yards. 3 punt returns for 91 yards, including the 67 and 1 touchdown. He just constantly, every single time he gets a return, he makes the first guy miss. He gets way more yards than what I'm expecting him to get. Every single time. When I'm looking, I'm like, oh, wow. He kept going. He got more than I thought. Chim DK... we've been talking about leading in all-purpose yards and all these other things, and he should make the Pro Bowl. Chim DK is the best returner in the NFL this year. He should be an all-pro through the bye week. When you see, mid-season all-pro teams that different publications and stuff like that do, Chim DK should be the all-pro returner in the NFL. He has been absolutely incredible this year. I mean, truly been incredible this year. So out of everything that's happened, all of the bad from this season, DK has been a bright spot in a major way, and the Titans really got a good player in Chim DK, who again, I think should be the all-pro returner for the NFL halfway through the season. But also, Cedric Gray continues to play really good, really inspired football. 16 total tackles on the day. Absolutely bullied the running back and got a sack as well. He may not be perfect in coverage, but Cedric Gray, again, been an incredible bright spot, a bounce-back game after a tough game last week against the Colts. Dre'Mont Jones had 1.5 sacks. Jihad Ward, 2.5 sacks. Sebastian Joseph Day had a sack in there as well. I thought it was just a fantastic performance for a lot of the Titans' defensive line, and at the perfect time, too, because you're all about to be traded. Alec Manor had some drops for sure, but led the Titans with 3 catches for 46 yards. So, they got a good one with Helm, if they would get him the ball more. They got a good one with Cedric Gray. They got a good one with Chim DK. Alec Manor can be a solid role-playing wide receiver for this team. So there are bright spots, but I'll tell you what, one of the bright spots for Titans fans has been Vondre Sweat. And if you're listening, and if you've been listening to me for a while, you won't be surprised for the reason for this, but Vondre Sweat is on the trade block. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game and you want to ride the hot hand, you want to just get in on the action, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a live same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every single game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Again, new customers get $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Look, we talked about that football game. The Titans lose to the Chargers. The coaching staff is terrible. Cam Ward's hands are small. Chim Dike is awesome. That pretty much covers most of what we need to talk about with these games. What really matters for the Titans right now is the trade deadline and moving forward and what's going to happen. And again, Vondre Sweat is on the trade block, and that has a lot of people very angry, very confused, and I am here to try to provide clarity as to what's going on with that situation. So the trade deadline is Tuesday at 4 p.m., and it sounds like the Titans are going to be very, very active. We got reports over the weekend, all weekend long, about who is involved. Calvin Ridley, heavy on the trade market. The Titans edge rushers, Arden Key, Dre'Mont Jones, Jihad Ward, all available. A guy like Sebastian Joseph Day on the defensive line also would be available. And it sounds like, other than Arden Key, who sat out the game, all of those guys were trying their best to audition for new teams. Dre'Mont Jones out there balling. Sebastian Joseph Day, Jihad Ward, they're like, please trade for me. Get me out of here, please. I'm begging you. And the Titans absolutely should be trading one of those guys. I think it's very, very likely that one of the defensive linemen does get traded out of the four that we just discussed. Dre'Mont Jones, Arden Key, Jihad Ward, Sebastian Joseph Day. But the other defensive lineman is Vondre Sweat. We had Diana Rossini. We had Albert Breer. I saw another report. I forget who it was. My apologies. There was another report out there that Vondre Sweat is one of the guys who's been most heavily involved in trade discussions for the Titans, and I can already see the reaction online. I can already see you guys in the comments. I already know how Titans fans are going to react. Why in the world would they trade Vondre Sweat? He was a second-round pick just a year and a half ago. He's been a good, young, productive player when he's been out on the field. He had a good rookie season. He's made some splashy plays since he returned from injuries, had 2 sacks, although one of them was just touching a quarterback as he ran out of bounds. But nonetheless, a sack still counts in the thing, and a lot of people are like, why would they do this? And listen, I do not think, I know that because I didn't like Vondre Sweat coming out of the draft, people aren't going to listen to me or believe me, but I do not think that the Titans should trade Vondre Sweat. I do not think that is a good decision. I do not think that they should do that. However, the reason that they would trade Vondre Sweat, again, I do not want them to do it. But if you're trying to figure out why the Tennessee Titans would be doing this, there is only one answer, and it is the same answer as the reason they traded Jarvis Brownlee Jr. They do not like them as people in the locker room. They do not believe that they are hard workers. They do not believe that they are the right kinds of people to be in their young locker room going forward. That is the only explanation that's available when you have a young player on a rookie contract who was just drafted really high. The only reason that you would trade that player away is if you think that he is a cancer in your locker room. Period. That's why they traded Jarvis Brownlee Jr. That's why they would trade Vondre Sweat. This isn't Dre'Mont Jones on a 1-year deal, Roger McCreary on the last year of his deal, trade, Tony Pollard on the last year of what you would have him, they're not going to keep Tony Pollard after the season. Chigga, this isn't dumping an expiring contract to get a draft pick back because they're older veterans. This is, we do not believe that you are the right person to have in our locker room to build this team up. We do not want you around. That's what it would be if the Tennessee Titans traded Vondre Sweat. Make no mistake about it. Now, if you disagree with that philosophy, if you say the Titans culture sucks, who are these people to trade away Vondre Sweat and say that he's bad for the culture when there is no culture, that's a stupid trade, doesn't matter what they get back, they shouldn't do it, it's dumb, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to disagree with you. I am not trying to tell you that this would make sense to trade Vondre Sweat, and this is the reason why they're doing it, so it's a good reason. I'm not saying it's a good reason. I'm not saying it's smart reasoning. I'm not saying it's logical. I am just telling you what they are telling you. If they trade Vondre Sweat, they are telling you that it's because of his personality and him as a person. They do not want him around their football program. And I'm not saying that they're right, but if you've been listening to my show, then you know I have pointed out in the offseason, Jim Wyatt went out of his way in a mailbag to say Vondre Sweat just looks okay. Paul Kaharski has reported that there are some questions about his work ethic behind the scenes. Just said it in a podcast recently. We've also seen Terry McCormick, who said that they haven't been enamored with Vondre Sweat behind the scenes. The mysterious place on IR out of nowhere when he said he was good to go. If you've been paying attention, if you're reading between the lines, if you're keeping your ear to the ground, I've talked to a few, I'm not willing to say that I have sources, but I've just asked a few people close to the team, like, are they happy with him? Is he doing what he's supposed to do? And the answer I've got back with is, he's been all right. So we know that Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was late to some meetings. And if Vondre Sweat is coming late to meetings, he's not taking his rehab seriously, he's not a hard worker, he's not putting in the work in the offseason, and behind the scenes they're not happy with him and don't think that he's bought in and working hard, that's why they would do this. And that's what they're telling. And just the fact that he's even available in trades tells us that. It tells us that. Now, I also saw somewhere reported that the Titans would only trade Vondre Sweat if they got a really good deal back because they would like to give him a chance with another coaching staff. Okay, that's a fair, a better coaching staff that wasn't so soft and cowardly and could. Now, the thing is, Tracy Rocker and the defensive coaches, I think, are good coaches. Like, Tracy Rocker is a good coach. But I think the overall leadership with Brian Callahan and now Mike McCoy, the culture of it all might not be enough to keep Sweat on task. And this goes back to why it's risky to take character players when you're a young team without a good culture. It's like poker, folks. When you have a big stack and you're, king at the table, and you got the big stack at the table, you can be more aggressive. You can stay on and see a flop when you got a crap pair. You know what I mean? You could stay on with 10-7 offsuit and see if you get anything on the flop. Because you have the stack and you can take those risks. When you're the Ravens, you're the Eagles, you're the Rams, you're the Steelers. Your culture is so solid, you can take a risk on character guys, like a Mike Green, for example. Like a Jordan Davis or a Jalen Carter. When you're the Titans and you're a small stack at the table, you can't afford to take those risks because your culture cannot support those character issue players. And Vondre, they literally had to go fly, take the private jet to visit his family at their home multiple times just to vet him as an option to take. That already was concerning. And I was the big Vondre Sweat hater guy, blah, 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 so no one wants to listen to me. And again, I would not trade Vondre Sweat, but them even making him available and them having trade conversations around Vondre Sweat is telling you the same thing that the Jarvis Brownlee Jr. trade told you, is they don't believe that these young players who are on cheap deals and who are productive starters should be in their locker room going forward. It would be a culture trade. Not an asset trade, not a dump trade, not a tank trade. That's a culture trade. You don't want Jarvis Brownlee Jr. or Vondre Sweat around. So that would be the logic. Now, if they do trade Vondre Sweat, although I'm against it, A third-round pick, a late third-round pick, a top 100 pick, I don't think it's too much to ask. He was taken at pick number 38 just a year and a half ago. A year and 10 months ago. Whatever. No, a year and a half. Quick math. But a year and a half ago, he went in the high second round. 38. He went in the high second round. So you better get a late third-round pick in the top 100 back. I think that would be best case scenario. I think a fourth rounder is the bare minimum. If you take a less than a fourth rounder for Vondre Sweat, if they get a fifth round pick for Vondre Sweat, that is a stupid trade. No matter what. So I don't think they should trade Vondre Sweat. They're telling us they don't like him as a person in their locker room if they do trade him. And I would want a third round pick back for him, a fourth round pick at minimum, and anything fifth round or lower is a disgrace. So that's where I'm at on the Vondre Sweat trade conversations. And if things happen or don't happen, we'll continue to talk about this throughout the week. Calvin Ridley's name is out there a ton. I would love to dump Calvin Ridley, but with him not having played in, 3 straight games now, or leaving early and then missing 2, I would not be expecting a Calvin Ridley trade, although I think he could probably get them their best return. Chigakonkwo, nobody's going to want him. They're not going to get anything but a 7th-round pick back for him. He had another terrible blocking performance in this game. Just despicable stuff. So, trade Pollard for anything. No juice left. Trade Calvin. Trade Key, Jones, Ward, Sebastian Joseph Day, any of those guys. It all makes sense. I'm on board for it. But if they trade Vondre Sweat, that's making a big-time statement about what they thought about Rand Carthon's draft classes. And they better get something good in return. But I'm going to be here tomorrow to break it all down. Going to wait for the trade news all to work out. Remember, trade deadline is on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, or it might be noon Eastern. It's on Tuesday either way, and I'm going to have you guys covered here, so make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.